Right, here we are. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current five-time published author and educator. Here we're back again for another Intrapreneur Wednesday. Back for another Intrapreneur Wednesday. Great to have you. I believe this is we're on episode 8 now. Episode 8. You can expect these happening every single Wednesday. If you're new to my world, just know that I am Mr. Consistency. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm constantly putting out material in a consistent manner because the people I serve, the business owners that I serve every single day, I understand how much they appreciate consistency. I myself, as a business owner, understand how I appreciate how important it is when people stay consistent. And when I'm following some people, when I'm looking into people's work, I'm looking into working with people, whether I'm looking to be a paying client or looking at them as a potential client. I am always a fan of consistency. So we're here back again, episode 8. Now, before I get into the actual Intrapreneur tip today, you already know what I got to tell you. I got to tell you to go get the NIL package. I need to send you to makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com, and go get you an NIL package, which includes all three. It's 3 of the 5 books that I've written. It includes these 3. The first one, The Six-Figure Athlete. Again, it's all about, if you're in, telling you, as an athlete, I know there's athletes that are listening to me right now, or this is going to make its way to multiple athletes, because that's who I primarily started out serving. I was a college scout when I first graduated college. Being a former athlete myself, I know a lot of athletes tune into my work. I'm going to tell you this, and I try to tell you this as frequently as I possibly can. And I don't say this to be a pessimist at all. I'm someone that's lived through a major injury myself. All right. Just know you are always one injury away from your entire athletic playing career being over. Okay. I wrote a book. It was myself and 10 other authors. We came together. We wrote a book titled The Six-Figure Athlete. It's about converting your skills to cash. If your playing career ended today, do you have a plan? Do you know how you're going to use your skills to make money? So that's included in the NIL bundle. All right. Then there's my most recent book. It's called Transferring D1, a practical guide on navigating the chaotic world of college athletics, a world that I'm very, very familiar with as a player, as a coach, as a scout, now as an uncle. Constantly. I mean, I know it beyond knowing it. And I wrote a book that takes you through the steps, gives you the guide on how to navigate the absolute chaos that's going on in college athletics, more in particular, college football. And then Make Your Move. This is all these 3 books are included in the NIL bundle. Make Your Move. I make the bold claim here that boxing and dance will be the best activities that you can do when you're training for whatever your number one sport may be. So just head over to makeyourmove.com, go get you a bundle, and you will, trust me, your athletic playing career, whether you're getting it for yourself or you're getting it for an athlete that their athletic playing career will have been enhanced just by getting that book. All right. So as far as today's Intrapreneur tip, let me just kind of recap before I get into it. I know if you're a regular, this is going to be kind of review for you if you've been here on the previous Wednesdays. However, I want to make sure if there's any newcomers into this world, I want to give you a brief description, a brief definition on what I mean when I say intrapreneur, because what I do in my workshops, when I host workshops for business owners, I teach their staff how to develop an intrapreneur mindset. All right. Being an intrapreneur is all about having an entrepreneur approach towards your job, going after your job, doing your job as if it is your business. You take it that seriously, you work incredibly hard. And myself, whether it was when I was playing, the examples that I saw from my own father, or the examples that I saw from my coaches, the example that I saw from my teammates, the examples that I've seen from the countless jobs I've had in the past, I'm telling you, I have so many tips and so many ways, so many things I can be talking to you about when it comes to how to be an intrapreneur, that instead of me, creating a long drawn out episode about just how to be an intrapreneur, I figured it'd be a whole lot more efficient for not only myself, but for you as a listener to do it every single week, and just tell you give you little tips on how you can continuously develop your entrepreneurial mindset while you're working a job and while you're getting paid every 2 weeks. And with that, I got it. As I was looking through the previous Wednesdays, I was shocked that I didn't even tell this story yet. But it just goes to show you again, that's how many tips and that's how many ideas and how many things I kind of have in my head when how many things I've done when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I got to tell you about how this book, let me show you how this book, how I was able to create this book right here that you're looking at. All right. It's the Move Swiftly Coloring Book. All right. You can get it on makeyourmove.com. And I got to tell you how I was able to come up with that. First of all, how I was able to have the idea to come up with it, and then what actually happened in order for me to get it to market, in order for me to make it a physical book and make it something that is actually being sold, and that I do sell, copies. I sell quite a few of those copies of that book every single day because I am an educator. I do deal with kids, and the school I teach at actually is an art integrated program. So I deal with a lot of teaching artists, and they're always in their creative modes, and they help me when it comes to my work. And it's been a great situation, a great synergy between what I do and what it is the school that I teach at. So again, I'm not talking to you as if I'm some superior. I'm talking to you as if someone that's actually living it, coming up with ways, coming up with tips, coming up with situations in which are going to be mutually beneficial for myself and the company I work for. So I'm not, or the company that I teach, the school that I teach at, the place that employs me or gives me a check every 2 weeks, in addition to the business, in addition to the stuff that I'm making on my own. So anyway, I wrote the book. I created the coloring book it was about 3 years ago now. I was working at my first center. So what happened was, this was around 2021. And obviously it was a year after the coronavirus. And I was at the time, before the coronavirus hit, I was a trainer at this company named 9 Round Kickboxing and Fitness, which again, this is a lot of where this book came from, because as a boxing trainer, I was learning about my football skills and how, boxing and football would have helped me. So I, wrote a book in the boxing world. And then later on, as the transfer portal came about, this is when Transferring B1 came on, again, constantly moving, constantly writing, constantly putting material in which I could package up and be sold. Again, that's what qualifies me to give you these tips every single Wednesday, or every day for that matter. It's just the Wednesdays I'm more in a relaxed state. I'm not sweaty. I didn't just finish off a run. I'm able to kind of speak to you in a nice, modern, calm tone and get my point across in more of a calm fashion, or an understandable fashion, as opposed to me being all fired up and all sweaty on the daily Move Swiftly thought, right? So anyway, it was the coloring book, right? The coloring book. It was a young girl. She was in VPK, so the first center that I had to leave. So I had to leave 9 Round and go work I was a teacher at a center named Kindercare. And this center was kind of a daycare / educator position where we would do a little bit of both. They immediately moved me up to the school ages because my tone and my intensity and the way I would discipline the kids would be a little bit too much for the younger kids. So I was more VPK school age type kids. And I knew that going in because, again, I'm a former high school football coach, and, I'm used to yelling at kids and it not being that big of a deal. That's just what my tone is, right? So there was a young girl who was in VPK. It was one summer. So here's what happened. One summer, I went and I did a table setup. I did a table setup in Tampa, and the actual event turned out to be just terrible. It was a terrible event. I'm reluctant to say I actually wasted my money, because I did obviously get something out of it. But when I went there, it was myself and about 20 to 5 other vendors. And one of the vendors that was at this event, she also had a coloring book, like an interactive coloring book. In fact, she was on this show. The title of her episode is Lola and the Bully. Yeah, it was like Lola and the Bully. She wrote an interactive coloring book. And, like I said, I had her on my podcast, or had her on this podcast. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I had her on, spoke to her a little bit, and then she helped me create a coloring, because I asked her, I said, okay, so what does it take to actually create a coloring book? Because I'm around kids all day, and I can see how I need to maybe create something that's servicing the kids, that, I could sell to the kids and sell to the families and things like that, right? So I was thinking about what to do. So the coloring book idea was kind of sparked in my mind. And here's what happened. Here's what made me push forward and actually get the project done and actually get it to be something that's actually can be sold, package it out, and all that good stuff. Is there was a young girl who was in VPK who would have these absolutely nasty tantrums, like, like I don't mean to laugh, but every time she would get mad, there would be these tantrums that would be absolutely intense. All right. And you guys know, if you've ever been around kids, you know how they get when they have these tantrums. So one of the things that we as teachers would do to calm her down is we would give her a coloring book, and that would calm her down every single time. It always calm her down. And as I was seeing that, as I started to see how it calmed her down, I'm like, hmm, that's what I'll do. So I moved forward. Once I saw that, I moved forward. I, created obviously I'm not an artist at all. I didn't like actually draw the pictures for the coloring book, but I made sure I, got all the legal rights, the disclaimers and all that. So when I worked with Lola, who helped me with the coloring book, I just paid her to, help organize it, to help make sure everything was legal. I used the acronym, this S+LY Swiftly, which is the acronym I came up with my first book, which is skilled, well-informed front team. You get people in those categories. Add your LY, lift yourself so you're in multiple categories. So you're constantly making sure you're getting yourself better. So I made sure all of those elements in which I put in the adult book, I put that element in a children's interactive coloring book, and boom, I had another book at it. But at that point, that was book number 4. Book number 5 was actually this one, Transferring D1, and book number 1 was Swiftly, Your Guide to Innovative Teamwork, and that's how it works. All right. The point of me making sure I wanted to make sure I broke the whole thing down for you is so you understand, even though you're going out and you're working every single day, you may again be out there grinding, doing what trust me, that was a tough position I was in. I was the only guy in the entire staff. I knew I had to continuously make myself, I had to do something to make myself stand out because I needed to prove my worth. I had a coach who, Coach Malloy, the coach who won the most games in all of high school football in Maryland. He was my high school coach, and he would have this saying where it's just earn your keep, earn your keep, earn your keep. And I knew I was kind of out of my element. I wasn't in the fitness industry anymore. I was now in the education industry. Now I was in that world, and being a new author, I wanted to get myself established. So when I came up with that coloring book, I had all of that in mind. I wanted to create something that now I know I'm going to be able to sell and resell and resell and resell and resell for a lifetime. All right. And that's where you got to be thinking when you're coming up with your innovation, when you're coming up with whatever product or whatever thing you may want to do. Make sure it's something that you can continuously sell over and over and over again. You have to create products that you're going to be selling for a lifetime, long after you're gone, long after I'm no longer here. These books, whether it's these books or the 2 that I don't have with me right now, the Swiftly coloring book, or Move Swiftly coloring book, or the first book, which is Swiftly. All of these books are going to be available for a lifetime. These videos that I put out every day, this content, this material, all of this stuff is going to be available for a lifetime. You got to be thinking long term when it comes to being an entrepreneur. That's when a ball starts appreciating. That's when a job starts appreciating. That's when you're able to distinguish yourself for whatever position you may have and be able to jump ship, or God forbid something happens and you may need to leave the company. You have certain things in place that's allowing you to be intact. That's what you got to be thinking about. You can't be just thinking about, how do I make a ton of money right now? Don't get me wrong. Make sure you can sell whatever it is. Make sure there's an actual market and an audience for whatever it is you're trying to create. But also keep in mind that you're not going to get rich overnight. It's not going to be some rich overnight scheme. You're going to be rich over a lifetime because you create products that last for a lifetime. All right. So again, do this. I'm here every single Wednesday. It'll be a ton of material. I'm looking for it. I'm really enjoying them. I really have enjoyed them, tuning in every single Wednesday. So all that being said, well, you guys, main website, let me just give you the main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work. It's makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE. That is the main website to dive into. It's a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.